We're here to cut the hair again. And while I want to shorten my hair drastically, I also want to let you know all the things that I think you need to know before shaving your head, before going for a buzz cut. Maybe some of these things especially apply to women, people seeing themselves as women, but I think it is helpful for every gender. So I'd say let's get started. Not that any of this is going to be an actual hairstyle between like starting to cut off my hair and being done, but I thought the video is a bit more fun this way. So the first thing I do want to say is growing out your hair is not necessarily as bad as you think. So I think this is one of the big misconceptions, that it's so annoying to grow out your hair. But I've grown out my hair in 2021 and 2022 when I first had a buzz cut and grew it out until I had like a bob that was over like shoulder length. And yes, there were some weeks where it didn't look great, but the other thing that I need to say to this is that I only got 3 haircuts in the course of like, I don't know, must have been like, 2 years. So if you get frequent haircuts, I'm sure it would also never look bad. And I think it's a really, really fun way to try out different things. Now, of course, you might like certain lengths better than others. It can be so much fun. Growing out your hair does not need to be a pain. So if you're afraid of growing out your hair, and that's the reason why you don't want to cut your hair very, very short, maybe look up some hairstyles that you like in different lengths to then grow it out again. And also you never need to grow it out again if you love the buzz cut. So I think that should not be the reason to like not do it at all. But let's continue cutting before we're talking about another thing that you really need to know. Okay, looks like we're running out of battery, which is unfortunate because this thing has a really, really, really bad battery. So I'm gonna plug it in real quick and continue talking to you. So another thing that you need to keep in mind is that you will be talking about your hair more than you want, maybe. I don't know what it is exactly, maybe beauty standards, maybe the drastic change in your appearance, but people ask so many questions. Something like, why did you cut it? And it's like, yeah, why not? Because I wanted to have it short. Are you gonna grow it back in? Yeah, maybe at some point, but I don't know yet. And it's just very apparent that people have opinions about hair, more than you think and more than I want especially. So some people make assumptions about your physical health, about your mental health, about your beauty, about your gender, about your sexuality. It's crazy what kind of feelings and assumption people tie to hair. One thing I want to say though is the second time I cut my hair 3 years later now, a few months ago, where I cut it short, like a buzz cut again, almost no one said anything about my hair, because maybe they're just thinking like, she's at it again, she has short hair again. I also think it's a great possibility to just show people through talking to them and through just existing with short hair that short hair can be worn by any gender, that short hair does not need to have anything to do with your health, your sexual identity. It can, of course, but it doesn't have to. And through talking to people, it might also show them that they are free to do with their hair what they want. Let's see if I can cut my hair a bit more now. Ouch. We're done. By the way, I don't have a mirror. I'm just looking at the viewfinder and feel what I'm feeling in my head. But the thing makes me crazy. Like, I was thinking about getting a haircut like this at some point. Of course, better than just like I cut it myself, but I don't think it looks good. But that actually brings me to the next point I want to tell you, and that's this myth about having a bad skull for a buzz cut. Now, I definitely think possibly a bad skull exists, but I'm not sure. I've not seen it, and I've seen so many people in my comments and just people on the internet, because that's where I mostly talk about short hair, maybe also in my real life, but people saying that they think they could never have a buzz cut because they don't think the shape of their head would fit a buzz cut. And I also don't think my head is ideal for a buzz cut, and I think for the most part it's just not true that you can't have a buzz cut with your head shape. Now, I definitely know it's not true, because you can always have a buzz cut with your head shape, no matter how it looks, no matter if other people think it looks great, if you think it looks great. Like, if you want to have short hair, you can have short hair. If you are really concerned about how it will look, I can assure you that growing out your hair for just a month or so will make it look very different, will make your skull disappear like the general shape of your skull. Now, of course, if it's about the big shape, if like one side is more very, very flat, then of course you will see that, but then you will also see that with long hair. And then also, how is a skull supposed to look? I think that's another big thing. Like, if you have a bad skull for short hair, what do you think your skull would need to look like? And is that even true? Like, maybe you're just very critical to yourself and no one else thinks that your head looks very weird or bad with short hair. And so I want to encourage you to try it out, because I think it's highly possible that there's absolutely no problem with your skull with short hair. And if there is, as I said, in a month or two, you're not gonna see it, because you have more hair that's covering everything, and that makes you not really see the shape of your skull anymore. Now I'm really fighting with this battery here. 10 seconds? Is that all I get? Yeah, 10 more pieces of hair. We're gonna go and bring an extension cord, maybe that helps. But what do you think about my haircut? And while this hopefully charges a bit better, let's talk about the next thing, which is contrary to how it seems. With short hair, you can save so much time. It takes less time to shower, less time to wash your hair, less shampoo, less time to dry, less time to style. Because if you have really short hair, nothing can go wrong. Your hair cannot do anything that you don't want it to do. It's just gonna stay as it's supposed to and look good. But we also have to keep in mind that maintaining a really, really short haircut is also going to cost you some time. If you do it yourself, it's practically free. They're cutting the grass. If you hear it, I'm sorry, but they've been cutting the grass every single day this week. So at some point I just had to record a video, right? What I wanted to say is that it also requires some time and maybe money to keep your hair short. And that is also the reason why this time around I didn't cut my hair every 3 weeks to maintain a really, really short haircut, but I let it grow out for 3.5 months, because I wanted to just let it grow out as long as I felt excited about it, as long as I felt it still looked good. And now I really thought it didn't look good anymore, so I cut it again. But with that, cutting it every 3 to 4 months, I'm at the same rate of haircuts as I would be if I had any other hairstyle. So I think I just took the best of both worlds, like having low maintenance hair, even though when it gets longer, of course, you have to kind of take care that it doesn't go everywhere. But I usually just wet my hands and put my hair in the shape I want it to be, and we're done. And also not cutting my hair as much, so I can actually save time and have an easier life. But I don't think that would be a great reason to cut your hair. I think you should also kind of like it. You can dye it, you can bleach it, because it's gonna be gone in a few months. You really don't have to think about the next 10 years of this piece of hair, because it won't live as long. So I think short hair is amazing for that reason. And now let's take this not so amazing machine and let's try to get rid of this. So with this hideous hairstyle, I do want to give you a very important tip, and I'm coming a bit closer so that the construction noise is not going to be as annoying. What I want to say is change your part. Because if you leave your part like you've had it for weeks, months, or even years, you will see the part even if the hair is really, really short. So if you change your part a few days in advance, if you wash your hair once and make the part different, it will solve this problem. Because I definitely had this problem the first time around. You could see my part after I shaved off my hair. But the second time I did change my part like 5 days in advance, like the last time I did wash my hair before cutting it short, and I had no part whatsoever after cutting it short. So that is like a really good tip I wish I had before I cut off my hair the first time. And now let's get rid of this. Now with the hair almost all the way off, I feel like it looks a bit weird, and I do want to talk about self-perception. So you need to know before you cut off your hair that having no hair or almost no hair, it can make a lot with how you see yourself. For me, for example, it changed the way I thought clothes look good on me. So suddenly I felt some clothes didn't look good on me anymore. And sometimes I even thought like I liked myself from certain angles, but then also not so much from others. And I really had a bit of a fight with myself when it came to what I think is beautiful, how I think I'm supposed to look, my femininity, my masculinity, all of these things. And so I do want to warn you a little bit that maybe you're surprised with how you see yourself suddenly with no hair, how much value or how much of your beauty was in your hair or things like that. But it sounds like I'm discouraging you from cutting off your hair because maybe I would think that women with short hair are not beautiful or something like that, but that is not what I mean. Because on one hand, I think that we should challenge the way we see ourselves, that we should maybe broaden our comfort zone when it comes to how we look. And on the other hand, I just think it's also very, very good to learn about yourself, to learn what you like and what you don't like, and to challenge society's beauty standards. Maybe we always thought that of course everyone can have hair like they want, everyone can look good in short and long hair, but then suddenly with short hair we feel like, am I feminine enough? Am I beautiful enough? I think while that can be uncomfortable, it can also be beautiful and great because you can learn more about yourself. So I'm still not completely done, but I really have to wait for this hair cutting machine to charge some more. So I'm gonna end this video here, but I want to leave you with one last thing that I think is really important. And that is, it's hair. And that for me means it's just hair, it will grow back, but also I do understand that hair can be emotional. Hair can be precious, hair can be important, but I think it's important to us. And my goal is that everyone can decide about their own hair. So yes, I get it, that if someone cuts off your hair and you don't have a say in it, that hurts. That can feel so bad. But if you do it yourself, then it can be empowering. The same goes the other way around. If you are forced to keep your long hair because someone tells you, because of societal pressure, then it can feel really bad. So I think it's just really important that we try to figure out what we want, no matter if it's what we want for the rest of our life or if it's what we want to try out right now, and do that. It can be so empowering to be in charge of our own body, in charge of our own expression, in charge of our own style. So no matter if you want to look a certain way, to be perceived a certain way, or if you want to cut your hair a certain way, no matter how it looks, because it feels better, I hope you can do whatever you want with your hair, and I think that would lead to a society I want to live in. So no matter if this video encourages you to cut off your hair, to leave your hair how it is, or to let it grow out, I hope it was somewhat meaningful, helpful, inspirational, or just not a waste of your time. And now I do want to link another video here that you can check out. And I do also want to say thank you so much to my patrons who support me over there and get a weekly podcast episode that's just available for patrons. So maybe you want to check that out. And otherwise, I do hope to see you here or in my next video. Goodbye.